It was a night that should have been just another fun, relaxing evening out. But for Todd Tucker, it quickly turned into something far more serious. Todd had decided to enjoy a screening of Sunset Boulevard, a Broadway play in Manhattan. The atmosphere was buzzing, the lights dimming, and everything seemed perfect. But as the play started, something wasn't right. Todd began to feel strange, almost like something was off in his body. It wasn't something he could pinpoint, but it was enough to make him uncomfortable. His blood pressure was high. He noticed a heaviness in his chest, and there was a strange numbness in his left arm. Now, if you're like most people, you'd probably think, okay, this will pass. It's nothing serious. And that's exactly what Todd thought too. But here's the twist. You see, men often think they can just power through things, ignoring warning signs. Todd, like many of us, hoped it would go away. He tried to brush it off, convincing himself that everything would be fine. As the play continued, the discomfort lingered, but Todd didn't let it stop him. He even went on to the after-event dinner, rubbing his arm every now and then as a subtle sign that something wasn't quite right. His friends at the dinner noticed, though. They saw his constant fidgeting and asked him what was going on. Todd shrugged it off, but admitted that something didn't feel right. The craziest part, his friends weren't having any of it. They could tell something was seriously wrong, and without a second thought, they called 911. At that moment, Todd realized that maybe, just maybe, this wasn't something to ignore after all. But let's pause for a second here. How many times have we all been in that situation? We think it's nothing. We tell ourselves we're fine. And then suddenly, we're faced with a reality we never saw coming. The moment the paramedics arrived, Todd knew he had to take this seriously. By now, his chest pains were growing stronger, and the numbness in his arm wasn't fading. This was no longer something he could just wish away. He was rushed to the hospital, and that's when everything took a dramatic turn. The fear, the uncertainty, it was overwhelming. Todd didn't know what to expect next. But one thing was clear. He was in the hands of people who knew what they were doing. After all the tests and all the anxious waiting, Todd finally received the news. He hadn't had a heart attack or a stroke. It wasn't as bad as he feared, but it still felt like a warning, a wake-up call. This moment, this scare wasn't just about his health. It was about something deeper, something we all need to pay attention to. Todd's experience wasn't unique. It was a reminder that life can change in an instant, and sometimes our bodies are telling us things we choose to ignore. He shared his story, hoping others would learn from his mistake, urging everyone to listen to their body before it's too late. His wife, Kandi Burruss, who had been by his side through it all, later shared her relief on Instagram. The night started beautifully, but it ended pretty rough, she wrote. It was a scary few hours, but it was a reminder for both of them and for everyone watching how precious our health truly is. Kandi was honest, telling her followers that at first she thought Todd might be having a heart attack or stroke. But thank God it wasn't. This situation turned out okay, but it could have been much worse. And that's where this story takes an even more interesting turn. You see, both Todd and Kandi have had their fair share of health scares in the past. For Todd, this was the first wake-up call. But Kandi had been dealing with health challenges for years. From her fertility struggles due to fibroids to her weight management journey, Kandi had always been open with her fans. She knew the importance of sharing these experiences, not just for herself, but for others who might be going through the same struggles. She wanted people to know they weren't alone, and that being open about health issues wasn't a weakness. It was a way to empower others. But here's where it gets really interesting. Todd and Kandi's focus on health wasn't just about avoiding scary moments like this. It was about living better, staying healthier, and ultimately setting an example for their fans and followers. Todd's health scare, while terrifying, sparked a conversation about the importance of taking care of yourself before something serious happens. It wasn't just about one night at the hospital. It was about making changes and finding ways to prioritize health in a busy, fast-paced life. Now, as Todd recovers and continues to share his story, there's a bigger message that everyone can take away. Don't wait for the emergency to act. Life has a funny way of throwing unexpected challenges our way, but we can be proactive. Todd didn't know what would happen that night, but by sharing his experience, he's opened up a crucial conversation that we all need to have about our health. As Todd began to recover from the scare, he couldn't help but reflect on everything that had happened. What he went through that night wasn't just a wake-up call for him. It was a message for everyone. He realized that too often people dismiss the signs their bodies are giving them. For Todd, the chest pains, the numbness in his arm, these weren't just random symptoms. They were signals, something his body had been trying to warn him about. But he had ignored them. And it's easy to see why. In the hustle of everyday life, people tend to push through. Work, family, events, there's always something pulling us in every direction. Who has time to listen to their body when there's so much going on? But here's the part that really hits home. Todd wasn't the only one who had been ignoring health signs. We all do it. We tell ourselves, it's just a headache. Or, I'm just tired. We tell ourselves, it's nothing to worry about. And we keep going, ignoring the warning signs that might be our body's way of asking for help. Todd's experience wasn't just a one-time thing. It was part of a bigger ongoing struggle that many people face, especially men who often think they can just push through pain and discomfort. The most shocking part, Todd wasn't the only one in his family to have a health scare. As his health scare unfolded, Kandi Burruss, his wife, shared her own journey with fans. She had been on a health journey of her own for quite some time, but hers was different. It was about weight management, fertility struggles, and finding balance in her life. She had openly talked about how her body had changed over the years, especially after pregnancy. When Todd's health scare happened, it wasn't just a scare for him. It was a reminder for Kandi, too. Health is something we all take for granted, but it's something we all need to be more conscious of. Kandi knew this better than anyone, having faced her own battles with health issues over the years. Kandi's fertility struggles were something she had been incredibly open about. In the past, she had shared how fibroids, a condition that affects many women, particularly African-American women, had made it difficult for her to get pregnant. Fibroids are non-cancerous growths in the uterus that can cause a lot of issues from heavy bleeding to pain, and in some cases they can lead to fertility problems. Kandi had battled with fibroids for years, and it was something she had never shied away from talking about. Even though it wasn't the easiest topic, the more she shared, the more women reached out to her, telling their own stories about fertility struggles and how they were navigating similar challenges. Kandi's openness had brought attention to an issue that was often swept under the rug, an issue that so many women had been silently dealing with. But it didn't stop there. Kandi wasn't just focused on her fertility journey. She was also working on her health in other ways. She had started a weight loss journey of her own, driven by a deep desire to feel better, look better, and live a long, healthy life. The turning point for her came when Todd posted a video of her birthday, and some fans commented on her weight gain. That moment was a wake-up call for Kandi. She knew it was time to make a change, not just for her appearance, but for her health and well-being. Kandi wanted to live her best life, especially as she approached her 40s. She wanted to be the kind of woman who looked and felt great, no matter her age. The craziest part of Kandi's story is how public she made her health journey. In a world where celebrities often hide their struggles behind closed doors, Kandi decided to take the opposite route. She shared her story to help others feel less alone. She wanted people to know that health struggles, especially around body image and fertility, were something that many people faced, whether they were in the spotlight or not. She spoke about her weight loss journey, the mental and emotional toll it had taken, and how she worked with trainers and nutritionists to get her body back on track. But more than that, she also focused on her mental health, something that for so long had been left out of the conversation. And here's the unexpected twist in Kandi's story. While she was working on her physical health, she was also learning the importance of mental health. Being a public figure comes with a lot of stress. There's always someone with an opinion, always someone ready to criticize. The emotional toll that comes with being constantly in the public eye isn't something most people understand. Kandi had been through her share of public feuds, personal attacks, and emotional battles. But through it all, she leaned on therapy and mental health support. She made it a priority to take care of her emotional well-being, something she encouraged her fans to do as well. For Kandi, health wasn't just about the body, it was about the mind and spirit too. By now, it was clear Todd and Kandi weren't just focused on their physical health. They were building a culture of health and wellness around them. It wasn't just about one health scare or one journey. It was about making lasting changes in how they approached life and how they shared those lessons with the world. Both of them, despite all the challenges they had faced, understood that life wasn't just about surviving, it was about thriving. And that meant taking care of your body, mind, and soul. As Todd and Kandi continued to process their experiences, one thing became crystal clear. Their health was something they both needed to prioritize, both for themselves and for their family. But the story doesn't end with just focusing on physical health. The real turning point came when they both realized that life had a way of surprising them with challenges. But it also offered them opportunities to grow stronger, not just as individuals, but as a couple. When Todd first experienced his health scare, it was a shock to everyone, including Kandi. She never expected a regular night out with friends to turn into an emergency situation. And although Todd came out of it unscathed, it made them both rethink their approach to health. The scare forced Todd to look at his lifestyle and recognize that things needed to change. He wasn't invincible. No one is. This wasn't just about listening to your body when it's too late, but making sure you're in tune with your health every day. And that's exactly what Kandi and Todd decided to do. For Kandi, the turning point wasn't just about losing weight or managing her health conditions. It was about making sure that the stress of her busy lifestyle didn't take a toll on her body. She had been juggling so much for years. Her career, being a mother, running businesses, and dealing with the pressures of being a public figure. At one point, it all caught up with her. She was trying to do everything for everyone, and that meant she was putting herself last. But after seeing what Todd went through, she realized that wasn't sustainable. She needed to focus on herself, too. What makes this story even more powerful is how both Todd and Kandi turned their personal struggles into a shared commitment to better their lives. They weren't just working on their health individually, they were working together. This is where the unexpected twist in their journey begins. Instead of seeing each other's health challenges as burdens, they started seeing them as opportunities to support each other and grow together. They made fitness a couple's activity, and they began to find ways to incorporate healthy habits into their daily lives. They both embraced the idea that health wasn't just about physical appearances. Sure, Kandi had worked on her weight loss, but she also prioritized her mental health, something that many people neglect. Todd, who had always been someone who ignored his health issues, was now making conscious decisions to live better, not just for himself, but for Kandi, for their kids, and for their fans. And this was no easy feat. They had both been through enough to understand that health wasn't just a trend or something you focus on for a short time. It was a lifelong commitment. What makes their story so inspiring is the vulnerability they showed. Kandi didn't shy away from talking about her fertility issues and how they impacted her ability to conceive naturally. She talked openly about her struggles with fibroids, a health issue that many women, especially African American women, face but rarely speak about. And Todd, despite being the one who went through the terrifying health scare, was just as open about his own health journey. Together, they were able to break down the stigma surrounding health issues, mental or physical, and make it clear that it's okay to not be okay sometimes. But here's where it gets even more interesting. The couple's commitment to their health didn't just improve their own lives. It inspired others. Their story reached beyond their fans. It resonated with people who had been going through their own struggles, who felt like they were alone in their battles. Todd and Kandi's transparency gave them the power to create a community where others felt safe to share their own experiences. They weren't just talking about fitness or health for the sake of vanity. They were talking about it because they truly cared about breaking the silence around health issues that often get brushed aside. In the months following the health scare, the couple became advocates for health and wellness, both physically and mentally. They partnered with experts to offer tips and share their own experiences, hoping to inspire others to take control of their lives and health. Kandi especially was vocal about her mental health journey, talking about how therapy had been a key part of her healing process. She wasn't afraid to admit that being in the public eye had taken a toll on her emotional well-being, and that seeking help was the best decision she ever made. She encouraged others to do the same, to seek professional help if they needed it, and to prioritize their emotional health just as much as their physical health. But the real turning point for them as a couple came when they began to see their health as a shared goal rather than a personal one. Their commitment to improving their lives wasn't about them individually anymore. It was about their family, about setting an example for their kids, and about showing their fans that it's never too late to make a change. They became stronger, not just as a couple, but as role models for others. In the end, Todd and Kandi's story is a powerful reminder that health isn't just about what you see on the outside. It's about what's happening on the inside, both physically and emotionally. They could have easily kept their struggles private, but instead they chose to share their journey with the world. And in doing so, they've inspired countless others to take their health seriously, to listen to their bodies, and to seek the support they need to live their best lives. As Todd and Kandi's story unfolds, we start to see how this health scare impacted their lives on a deeper level. It wasn't just about Todd having a close call with his health. It was a pivotal moment that shifted the way both of them approached life, work, and wellness. For so long, they had been focused on success, appearances, and achieving more. But this experience brought them back to the basics, back to what really matters. What's truly remarkable about their journey is the way they didn't let this health scare define them. Instead, it became a turning point. It sparked a transformation, not just in their health, but in how they viewed their priorities. For Todd, this was a reminder that life can change in an instant, and we often take our health for granted. He had been so busy building his career, taking care of his family, and living life in the fast lane that he forgot to take care of himself. But after the scare, he started to make himself a priority. Todd didn't want to just survive. He wanted to thrive. Kandi, too, had her own eye-opening moments throughout this process. While she had always been focused on her physical appearance and fitness, this health scare made her realize that mental and emotional well-being were just as important. It wasn't just about how she looked on the outside. It was about how she felt on the inside, both physically and emotionally. Her journey wasn't just about weight loss or fitness. It was about healing from within, accepting herself and recognizing that self-care is not a luxury, but a necessity. But here's where the story takes a more unexpected turn. What made this whole situation so powerful wasn't just the fact that Todd and Kandi prioritized their health. It was the way they used their platform to help others. This wasn't just about them sharing their health journey. It was about creating a space for people to feel safe talking about their struggles. It was about normalizing the conversations around health issues, mental health, fertility struggles, and everything in between. By opening up about their own challenges, they invited others to do the same. The most shocking part, their vulnerability became their strength. Instead of hiding behind the image of perfect lives and flawless health, Todd and Kandi embraced the messy, imperfect reality of their journey. They didn't hide their struggles. They shared them openly, creating a sense of community and as part of